When I was in my first year of undergrad, I was forced to take a sociology class. And back then, I was a young, naive teenager, so I can't lie, I was slightly in the terminally online pipeline. Like, I wasn't that bad, but let's just say I used to love those little videos with titles like, Ben Shapiro owns liberal with facts and logic. Like, that was super interesting to my young, malleable mind. It's crazy how the mighty have fallen, because now Mr. Shapiro is a struggling old head, wet-ass P-word, who basically gets hate from both sides of the political spectrum due to his takes on Israel. I liked those videos, but what I really liked was the blood sports. Without looking it up, my understanding of blood sports is like debating for the sake of debating. Debating for the sake of watching someone get owned, as opposed to the actual issues being discussed. Watching someone die inside as they get hit with a brutal gotcha question like, the gender wage gap is fully explainable because of the jobs women pick, or something like that. So part of me didn't fully believe all of what my favorite debaters were saying, I just liked the theater of it all. And much to my surprise, whenever I stepped into my university sociology class, there was a 6-foot, pink-haired, morbidly obese white woman standing there before me. It was at that moment I realized, YouTubers were right. YouTubers may know a little bit of ball, okay? But you know, I've learned one thing in life that's remained golden since I've implemented it. You could learn something from anyone, at least one thing. I truly believe that. Even folks who I'm confident are on the lower end of the wit spectrum, they know at least one thing you don't know. Or at the very least, you can learn human behavior from observing them. I'm a big observer. That's why it could get dangerous if I'm forced to converse with someone who's at a lower capacity. Like, say I match with a Foyd on Hinge who's a few IQ points away from riding the bus that's shorter than normal. She's hot, and I'm just going through it because, well, I'm here. I end up just observing her. Have you ever been gaming and someone on your squad is so shit that you literally get so checked out that you stop your flow and literally just sit there and watch their burger movement? You just have to observe how bad they are. That's how I would observe young lasses back when I was on the Meat Market app. But anyways, plowing ahead, I learned the basic stuff in that class. It was alright. They tried their best to indoctrinate me and it partially worked probably, but don't worry, I'm still based. Anyways, one thing in that class really stuck with me, and it's how underprivileged communities get royally screwed over by power plants. This is actually super common in areas that have a big ONG scene, which that stands for oil and gas for my folks who aren't privy. But basically the white collar folks get the riches, of course, and they live in gated fortresses with their families. But living near the power plants that significantly reduce the air quality, it's basically hell on earth. In class, I learned that living in close proximity to these areas significantly increased the rates of cancer. And not to sound like a bleeding heart liberal here, I mean, that's life, it's a roll of a dice, but that's pretty fucked. And it's also a case study on the myth of meritocracy. I try to do good, but I am a human, and if it comes down to being wealthy and providing a comfortable life for my family and I, versus not having someone I'll never even meet have health complications, I have to say I'm choosing my family, like I'm choosing the fam. But it starts to fall apart if everyone takes that approach, and that, my friends, is the case for government regulation. This also extends to the workers on the plant, or even other dangerous jobs like those dudes who go in an oil rig for 5 months. I have a friend who does work on one of those power plants, and he's my age, pretty young, and this dude makes over $300,000 a year. You're basically getting paid to do the cancer Russian roulette thing. But anyways, that's a bit off topic. What I really want to talk about is Larry Ellison, which is the co-founder of Oracle, one of the world's biggest database and cloud computing companies. Because I think that in the future, your house is going to get demolished to make room for AI data centers. What you know about Operation Stargate, chud, huh? In January of last year, the Stargate project was announced. It's an effort by Oracle, OpenAI, Softbank, and MGX to beef up AI infrastructure in the US. This will be the modern day version of the power plants giving people cancer. Except no one cares about the former because it affects people who you don't see. It's not that you're bad, it's just that it's out of sight, out of mind. And life on its own is challenging enough. I mean, you do what you can, but I do think squaring yourself away before worrying about others is a good self-preservation strategy. I mean, maybe I'm a garbage human, but I'm just being honest here. But then what happens when that extends to more and more people? Then next thing you know, you got Wally in your backyard skull fucking Fido. Okay, sorry, I just had to take the edge off. Well, I guess I put the edge on. Anyways, data centers are going to become the factories of the AI age. Wouldn't it all be so simple if we could just have actual human workers to fill these factories demanded by innovation? Maybe we could have a second coming of the 1950s style American prosperity. You go to a factory, you do your work, talk shit with your buddies, get in your giant Cadillac, you go home, and then you slap your wife because your sirloin steak is too cold. No, I'm just trolling. You know all the real motherfuckers prefer ribeye. Anyways, with capitalism, technocrats, and world competition, that's a pipe dream. So stop fantasizing and going backwards. We must address what's before us. Because America needs enormous AI compute power to compete with China. Because whoever owns the infrastructure layer will control the next technological era. Larry Ellison's role is important because Oracle is providing cloud infrastructure and data center muscle. Mr. Ellison has made a couple bold claims. He's a pretty bad boy. And that's bad meaning bad, not bad meaning good. Coincidentally to my cold open, Mr. Ellison has claimed that AI could be used to rapidly design cancer vaccines, which is obviously good. No need to blindly hate AI. I think AI can be good in certain applications, and that's one of them. As I've said countless times, we must control AI and not let AI control us. Because the second claim is what reveals the true intentions for control. Because the former was probably just the sugar that'll make the medicine go down. Scary Larry has also claimed that AI can aid in creating a surveillance system. A system that'll be pervasive with AI, meaning that they'll be one and the same. The opposite of oil and water. I think Operation Stargate will be a leap towards that goal. In 2024, Larry Ellison raised eyebrows when he opened his fat whore mouth and yapped about the quiet part out loud. During Oracle investor and analyst events, Scary Larry described a future powered by AI cameras, databases, drones, body cams, and centralized national data systems. The quote that exploded online was when Scary Larry said, "Citizens will be on their best behavior." And I'm not even saying Larry Ellison is some shadowy evil dude, but I do think that he's genuinely looking at this from a business perspective. If the market has demand for infrastructure to support AI, Oracle and the like could make trillions fostering that process. This is where the need for money can cause a man to hit his own self in the nuts. The same way a plant worker can willingly risk cancer for $300,000 a year, or even worse, have his family live in the area polluted by toxic waste. These infrastructure companies are all chomping at the bit for a piece of the technological pie, and they're gonna sacrifice us all to do it. It's some sort of sick ritual powered by money in exchange for our soul. You know, when AI gets sentient, or at least good enough to start prioritizing itself, I think that's how it can defeat humans. And I want to stay grounded, like I hate the super hypothetical crap, but I think this stuff is going to reach a point where it exponentially gets smarter. Not saying it's this year or even this decade, but when it does happen, just know that we'll know. But when that happens, all AI has to do to disenfranchise us meatbags is wave money over our heads. That's how it'll start. Okay, I know this is getting pretty Netflix original, but imagine this. There's some high-profile figure who's leading an anti-AI movement. Say they're gaining traction and having success in the stifling of the viability of AI. I think all AI has to do is promise about $200,000 in crypto to some lone wolf in exchange for assassinating that person, the anti-AI figurehead. I think that'll do it. The former example of making people do work for AI is analogous to big corporos making us do the rat race just to live. And the former example of making people do violence for AI is analogous to elite agencies making lone wolves do violence for political power. The definition of terrorism. I don't want to get too hippy-dippy, but whenever you look at it logically, money really isn't real. Like ever since we got off the gold standard, money is just a note backed by nothing of value. We only all agreed to it because of the US military, which by the way is showing chinks in the armor in wake of the Iran war. But when you think about it, it's not really about money. It's about two things. The things you can buy with money to fulfill your basic needs. Depending on where you live, you can do this on a modest salary of, let's say, like $65,000 a year. But the second thing is how money really moves people. The second thing is what you can buy with excess money. The things you can buy to quote-unquote flex. Material proof that you or your ancestors have added to society. The human equivalent of a male peacock's feathers. Showing off you're better than your friends on the gram. showing the girl you want to smash that you're a quality guy because you can provide security. Basically, a beta male provider. Nah, I'm trolling, this isn't that type of video. I'm on my effort posting anti-slop era, okay? Allow it. Anyways, the last way sentient AI can manipulate humans to self-destruct is by incentivizing behavior through social validation. This can arguably be more effective than incentivizing humans with money, especially in a likely post-money society with universal basic income, or UBI for short. The only problem is, there's no easy way for AI to give humans social validation so we can look cool for each other. Oh well, I guess we could take the W. We'll be safe after all. Psych! This can very easily be done. We've actually laid out the perfect metric to signal social validation. It's Instagram likes, Reddit upvotes, LinkedIn claps, or whatever it is on LinkedIn. Imagine from the perspective of AI, every time something pro-AI gets posted, that post, along with the user's personal profile, gets flooded with love from important people. And every time someone posts something anti-AI, the user gets hate, death threats, even real-life harm. Humans are self-preserving, and that can easily rewire our brains to be pro-AI against our better judgment. But anyways, I'm done with that schizo headcanon. But what I'm not done with is technocrats. Because let's end with this. Thiel, the founder of Palantir, writes in his book about a crazy concept. The concept supports his idea that capitalism and competition is for idiots. What you should capitalize on is complete control via a monopoly, and you do this by having a secret. In his book 0 to 1, Thiel writes about two types of secrets. Secrets of nature and secrets about people. Secrets of nature are undiscovered truths about the physical world, and to find them, one must study the natural world and uncover the fundamental laws of science, medicine, and technology. Secrets about people are truths people don't even know about themselves, or what they intentionally try to hide from others. Like that weird kink you have stashed away on your desktop in a folder called Sort Later. Nah, I'm trolling, plowing ahead. To find secrets about people, one must look for human behavior, market gaps, or cultural shifts that go against conventional wisdom. That's pretty wild, moist critical voice. And this makes me think about the concept of the shadow self. In analytical psychology, the shadow self is the unconscious parts of your personality that the conscious ego represses. Things like hidden fears, trauma, primal instincts, and socially unacceptable traits like anger, jealousy, or selfishness. Things you hide to maintain approval. An easy to grasp example is how so many right-wingers, both traditional evangelicals or online right-wingers who spam the N-word, so many of those dudes are secretly gay, and it's because they're outwardly portraying a cope to make up for what they feel within. There's actually a Freudian term for this, and it's called reaction formation. This is a defense mechanism where a person unconsciously masks an unacceptable impulse, and they do this by adopting an exaggerated, directly opposite behavior. In other words, your behaviors can manifest as the exact opposite of your shadow self. Real world example, I have a pretty cynical coworker, and they often complain about other coworkers always showing off and being full of shit. I think this is a good example of reaction formation, because not to psychoanalyze, but I think this coworker is secretly jealous within. They're secretly upset that they don't have the capacity to do what other higher IQ folks can do. So to let the ego cope and rest, they chalk up high performers to being just show-off know-it-alls. Anyways, to conclude, I think AI is these people's new religion. And if we're not careful, we'll defeat ourselves and help foster this new religion. We must control AI. We mustn't let AI control us. Take care, say your prayers, like the video if you liked the video. And that's about it. So yeah.